Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of FTW GT Weekly, and we're here to Superman all you hoes.
Now watch me, you.
I'm back with the DWE himself, where he will be cranking that Soldier Boy for the rest of the episode.
Yeah, nah, that was a one-time thing. And I also really don't like the way you said that.
I mean, you did crank the Soldier Boy.
No, it was more so the way you pronounced it.
You'll have to do it again at some point. You are a 2-second man, though. You did that cranking really quickly.
I'm efficient.
You were going to kick us off this week, Dante, with a with your written statement to the judge about Danny Masterson this week.
Yes, I was.
Okay.
Who the hell's Danny Masterson?
Oh, don't play coy with us, Dante. I'll fill in the blanks for the people because you're being shy about your takes here. You wrote a statement to the judge just as well as Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis did, saying that you had looked up to him since you were a young boy. You've modeled a lot of your life after him. And
Oh nah. Nah. Lenny's chuckling as I just figured out who Danny Masterson is, and I remember, he got sentenced and he deserved that shit.
You were a Scientologist for many of your adult lives here.
Lives?
I think every year's a life in Scientology.
Oh, really?
Nah, I don't know if that's true.
Are you a Scientologist? How do you know this?
Well, I clearly don't because I just said I don't know if that's true.
But if it turns out to be true, then it just sounds like you outed yourself and then try to walk it back.
All right, so let's get back into your letter to the judge. You said that you had admired him as his role on that 70s show was huge for you as an adolescent growing up in the community. And, as you've grown to be an adult, you've looked at him as a role model and a person you could see as a, somebody you wanted to strive to be just like.
No, absolutely not. If anything, my letter to the judge would have been job well done.
All right. Well, so now that we've gotten out what your letter was, would you care to do your apology now that you're going to get canceled? Like, how about you hit us with that?
Me? Apologize?
Yeah, you wrote the letter, so now make good on the letter and be like, hey, I didn't mean it.
I didn't write it. I didn't do this.
All right. Well, there's no proof of that.
Yo, why are you always trying to put words in my mouth to get me canceled?
It's better than something else, isn't it?
All I'm saying, man, is if these are your views, say them from
I definitely didn't say it was my views. I was under the impression from what we've talked about that you were a supporter, and that's my bad if I had the wrong take or impression. You had just mentioned writing something to the judge, and I must have misconstrued what was being talked about. But that's fine. We can move on. Neither here nor there.
Yeah, let's move on. Huh?
We can talk about the rest of the weekend. Did you get a chance to watch the fights at all this weekend, Dante?
Yeah, I did actually.
You're a big fight fan these days, huh?
So I have historically been a very big non-sports guy. I don't follow any of it, but UFC has piqued my interest.
Okay. Well, give us your breakdown of the main event from this weekend.
So I'm still very new to the whole UFC thing, and especially with the way the betting odds went, I thought the smart money was on Adesanya, and I was, shocked.
What did you bet on in the Adesanya fight? What was your bet? I
actually didn't bet on this fight.
Okay. So, all right. So that was a relevant statement, though.
But I'm saying,
money would have been...
I look at the betting odds to see what the expected outcome would be. Or who's the favorite. Yeah.
Because I would say smart money, like the only people who would have been betting on Adesanya this weekend, if you were taking straight money line on Adesanya, you would have had to have had a lot of money because it wasn't going to be a good return on investment.
Yeah.
I didn't bet on him this weekend because of that. If I was going to bet on him,
I was going to bet on Method of Victory, but
that was still not good odds. It was minus 130, at least on the book that I use. And so I stayed away from that as well. And then I was going to possibly bet the round for the finish, which obviously I'm glad I did not. But what is your actual, what was your breakdown of the fight? Give us the ins and outs, dude, the X's and O's.
I don't know if I could do it on the same technical sense that you maybe would or as critically as you would, but overall, Strickland kept Adesanya on his heels for pretty much the whole fight, which was a lot different than some of the other fight highlights that I had watched of Adesanya's. He's usually on the attack from what I've seen, and he was kind of just up against the fence the whole time running away.
You see, you said something interesting there. And I'm glad you said it because it's going to tie into the experience I had watching this fight. You said running away.
Yeah.
Why do you think why would you say running away?
Because the whole entire time, I don't feel like he was really moving in. He was, stepping back. He was up against the fence and trying to shimmy out of it the whole time. And everything that he threw was really just a counter.
So I have this issue with the term running away because I went to a bar to watch this fight this weekend and had a terrible experience. Just an awful experience.
Of the audience commentary?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. It makes it hard for me as I don't really consider myself a hardcore MMA fan anymore. I think
No. Okay.
I think 5 or 6 years ago and before that, I think from 2000 probably 5 or 6 until maybe even a little before that, till maybe 2015, 16, I would have considered myself a hardcore fan. I just think there's people out there that pay a lot more attention to it than I do now, only for the mere fact that it's a bloated schedule and a bloated roster with the UFC now. As far as there's just so much to keep up with as far as names, and I could tell you anything about most of the top 15s and most of the weight classes, but there's such a grand spectrum of amazing fighters that are outside of those weight classes that I know and I follow on social media or whoever else, YouTube, whatever, who do know those people. So I kind of respect to them, they're the hardcores, but I'm an above average fan. 100%. I am I would be a hardcore fan to a casual viewer, I'd have to assume, right? Okay. I understand what's going on. I think I've never fought, I don't train, none of that shit. I'm just a fan who watches, right? But I understand what strategy is and what it isn't, and I just hate the term running away. There was this guy at the bar, these fucking assholes that were sitting in the group next to us who just all night were being they must have come in fucked up because they were just being annoying from the second they sat down next to me. But as Adesanya and Strickland are fighting, Adesanya gets knocked down in the first round. And I said before he even got knocked down, I was with D and I was Adesanya clearly doesn't respect this guy. He didn't respect him before the fight. He didn't respect him in the first round. He was chin up, not setting up his strikes. He was throwing a lot of slow hooks. He looked slow in general, if I'm being honest, whole fight. His hands just did not look good. And he's never been a particularly, at least in MMA, I think when you watch some of his kickboxing highlights, his hands are a lot better. But in MMA, he's predominantly a kicking game that he utilizes or emphasizes, So he looked a little slow with his hands. But from the second he got knocked down, I just thought the guy next to me is just oh, now he's going to be Floyd Mayweather. Now he's going to run away. Now he's going to do this. Now he's going to do that. It's it's not.
I can see what that would take away from the experience.
Yeah, and it's to a person who doesn't understand, it's running away. But Sean Strickland put a clinic on from a game plan perspective. He was fighting with pressure. So if the other fighter is fighting with pressure, and you're not able to get to him effectively to gain his respect, it's not you running away. It's because you didn't have an option. It is being evasive. I can understand that. But I would also point out, and you can pull up Fightmetrics to see if I'm right on this or not, but I believe Adesanya threw and landed more strikes in the first 3 to 4 rounds of that fight than Strickland did. So that also bothered me while I was watching it because I'm he's engaging. It's just he's engaging off of his back foot because Strickland is doing a fantastic job of applying pressure and cutting off angles without actually throwing that many strikes. You're pulling it up?
Trying to, but this is something
Did
I've
you
never
go to
searched before.
Fightmetrics? I literally told you how to Google it in my sentence. Just look up Strickland Adesanya Fightmetrics.
Why you gotta be so rude?
I'm just because I tried to make it easy on you, dude.
But then does it show
You
like
can
a
go to
round per round?
ESPN too. Like they're gonna show like a breakdown usually on their page of like the heat zones on the body from where the strikes were. Oh my god, I'll just do it myself. Continue. Okay, respond to my running away thing because you're the casual fan that pissed me off, basically.
I'm the casual fan that pissed you off.
Not you specifically, but like you are a representation of the casual fan that pissed me off. You not know? I asked you to. Thank you. God damn it.
I'm sorry. I found the list you were telling me to find, but you're again asking if I think he was running away.
Yes.
I mean, I think
to defend your point of him running away.
I think after hearing your points, it's fair to say that was really his only option because not only was Strickland putting the pressure on, but he was also being really effective defensively where he wasn't letting any of his strikes land significantly.
So I have the totals in front of me. I know in round 1, Strickland ends up winning the round from a strike perspective. And he obviously won the round because he knocked him down. But almost all of those strikes come in the final 10 to 15 seconds after he drops him and has him up against the cage and he unloads with those punches, right?
Yeah.
That how many strikes in total do you land in the round? Do you have the round by round?
No, I only have percentages.
Okay.
27 of 52.
And how many did Adesanya land?
12 of 39.
So I would say neither one of them was particularly. I think if the drop doesn't happen, that round's almost impossible to score because neither one of them were doing anything. Adesanya was definitely retreating more, and he was trying to find angles. Adesanya does set up feints a lot. He's had boring fights. I think there's a misconception with Adesanya that he's an exciting fighter, when in reality, he has exciting finishes in some of his fights, but he also famously has a fight with Yoel Romero, which is considered one of like the worst title fights of all time, where they just stared at each other for 5 rounds straight, right? The difference here was that Strickland was pushing him to the cage. He was making him he's taking away the kicking ability. And like we just said, Adesanya is primarily a kicker in MMA. If you put him against the cage, if you put pressure on him, he can't do much as far as kicks. And if he can't get any respect with the hands, he's already going to be at a deficit. So he was losing options, right? If you have if you have 10 options, automatically he was cut down to 5, on how he was going to fight back in that scenario. Then you get into the fact of he starts getting hit. The other issue with a lot of people will have, especially with a guy like Izzy, for a hardcore MMA fan, right? I love the Diaz brothers, both Nate and Nick. Nick Diaz is my favorite fighter probably of all time historically. Nick Diaz's biggest flaw is this, right? He was a great pressure fighter when he got people to either tire out or if he got them to play the game to actually stay in front of him. So a lot of the Diaz brothers game is smoke and mirrors. You've seen this more recently with Nate, where a lot of the talk and the bravado and the taunting is to get people to play into their games because they know where their skill set lacks. And it's that they're not very fluid. They're not athletes. They're just fighters, So they need the guy to stand directly in front of them to get them to hit them. But fighting is a game of you're either hit or you don't get hit, right? So Nick Diaz has his only title fight. One of his 2 title fights he's had in the UFC, and it's against Carlos Condit. It's an amazing fight. But what Carlos Condit did in that fight is every single time his back hit the cage, where Diaz would have had his best advantage to beat him, he would circle off instantly. And people got on him and said that he was evading him and wouldn't engage in the fight. But what was his other option? And this is my point with the Izzy thing when you say running away. All right, so what would you like him to do? If he's getting pushed back to the cage the whole time, do you want him to stand still and then become a punching bag? Or do you want him to circle off, reset, try to get a new angle, and re-engage striking? Because he was throwing. What are the thrown strikes? How different are they? How far off are they from each other? Izzy threw more.
Did he though?
271 to 259 total strikes.
Okay.
The difference, even when you look at it, total strikes landed or significant strikes landed, right? 137 from Strickland, 94 from Izzy. What's the difference in the first round for strikes again? 12 to what?
To 27.
So that's 15 of them right there. a large portion of your difference in the engagement, in the striking, in the landed strikes was on behalf of that first round after he drops him. And Strickland won that fight. Strickland dominated from a body language standpoint, from a tactical standpoint, and he dropped it. He won that fight. This is 100% not taking anything away from that standpoint. It's more of like dude, I hated my experience watching this fight so much because Strickland is a very divisive person too. Like, just as a human being, doesn't have popular opinions. I don't like the guy. I don't think a lot of people like the guy. He's a fucking crazy person. And he says a lot of off-putting things. And of course, I'm trying to be polite with my language. But you know the bar I was most likely at, Dante.
Is the third letter K?
No. I didn't go to the KKK bar.
Oh, I thought so. I don't know.
It's a J, an N and a J. If people who actually know us are going to be like, dude, how could he not figure out what that was faster?
just to be fair, the third letter is a K then.
Oh, and the first word?
Yeah.
Who would... How...
Bro, you were trying to be cryptic. I was just playing the game.
No, because I would assume when you say the third letter is a K, you're talking about it's a three word name in the third letter in the...
Nah.
Like if it's an acronym. You know what I mean?
I got you.
But predominantly white. Let's just...
I didn't know they played the fights there.
Every week, yeah. Every pay-per-view. They've had signs up there for the entirety of like the 5 years that we went there every single week. It's a predominantly white crowd.
Yeah.
And the further, it was like everybody was really quiet. And then the second Strickland knocks him down, from that moment on, a lot of people in the room got real comfortable and real confident. You know what I mean?
It got real yeehaw in there.
Yeah, dude. Like, and it was just like, and then I have this fucking idiot sitting next to me. And one of them, dude, it's just like he starts screaming shit for no reason. And like they're calling Adesanya a pussy and all this stuff. And it's like, dude, like you don't even know what the fuck is going on.
I know I used the terminology running away, but I don't think I would ever took it to that extent.
But that, I just want to be clear about why that, like, I just don't understand that being, like, what was the option? What would people like him to do? So, because, like, I think the idea is that, like, because, like, comparing it to Floyd, right? Floyd is a defensive fighter. Floyd extended his career to 50-0 because he knew how to hit somebody and not get hit, right? And sometimes Floyd would be on the offensive. But if he had to be, in a majority of the time later in his career, he fought strategically and avoided getting hit and controlled distance and controlled the pace of the fight. And no, it's not always exciting. But at the same time, that's how you create longevity in your career, right? Like, that's how you keep making money in that game. So, I just get a little lost in the idea of, like, so are professional fighters not supposed to be defensive? You know, are professional fighters just supposed to bite down on the mouthpiece? We love it when that happens, right? In some fights, you're able to do that. The third fight from the top, the Manel Kopp and
oh yeah,
I don't
Del Rivera or something like that.
De La Rosa. No.
Either way,
Rivera,
he's not the fight you're talking about.
He was a late replacement fight. I think he was replaced like 3 weeks out or something.
I think it was like 2 weeks.
But like that's a fight, and mind you, totally different weight class. It's a lot easier at 125 to sit there and slug it out with each other when you're not necessarily knocking out each other at that weight class, right? Versus when you're at 170 pounds, 205 pounds, 185, heavyweight. Like, these are guys that can put you down with one punch. One mistake puts you there. You look what happened with Izzy. There was a slow, lazy hook with his fucking chin up, and the dude comes right down the middle of the pipe. Sean Strickland is not a knockout artist. He's a volume striker. His way to win this fight was going to be to apply pressure. The thing that I think Izzy didn't realize is traditionally Strickland is a lot more hittable. So I think he assumed yeah, this guy's going to push into me. I thought it was going to be a relatively exciting fight because I did think that Strickland's generally his defense is his offense. It is throw a lot of strikes and keep you off balance. The thing with this is he didn't throw a lot of strikes, and that's what stood out to me. Those first few rounds, it was his footwork. It was his forward pressure and ability to cut off angles without throwing volume. He was checking a ton of kicks. He was guarding up really well. He was using, like, I don't know the technical term, but he was using the outside elbow. All of Izzy's strikes were coming from the sides, right? Yeah. They were almost all looping strikes. They were either hooks or round kicks.
Yep.
And the whole time I'm sitting there like, in my head, if Izzy just comes up the middle with any of this, if he throws any kicks up the middle, he's got something. But I think he was afraid of getting taken down, and that's the only other reason I could think that he wasn't doing a lot of that. But he should have been coming up the middle with teeps. He should have been going up to the chin with like forward kicks or front kicks. Maybe some uppercuts would have gone a long way for him. But everything he was throwing was fighting to the advantage of Strickland, and I just think he was thrown off as well by a lot of that because he didn't anticipate getting dropped in the first round. He thought this guy was going to throw a lot more volume. Can you look up Sean Strickland? I don't know. I can't remember who he fought last. Was it like Cannonier, maybe? Jarrett Cannonier?
Let's see. Fight before Adesanya.
Just type in Jarrett Cannonier. It would still prove my point.
Fine. I don't know how to spell that, though.
Just type in Jarrett and it'll auto-populate. I just want to know how many strikes he threw in that fight. It was a 5-round fight. What do we got?
Strickland threw 400 strikes.
How many did you throw in this fight, Dante?
259.
Sound a lot different, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I just think strategically, Strickland zigged when Adesanya expected him to zag. You know? Smartly. It was a great game plan. But watching with casual fans, it became unbearable for me. The further and further into the fight it went, the more and more like this group of like idiots got empowered by their fucking leader coming to win, to where like the second the buzzer went, dude, I didn't stay for the decision. I got up and left. I was like, I can't be here for the celebration of this.
I mean, by the time the buzzer went, we knew what the decision was going to be.
That too. Well, so if it was going to be something like where I could have gone the other way, I would have stuck around, but I knew who won.
Yeah, and when it came to decision, we knew who won.
I knew what the energy would be in the room.
In that last round, the only way Adesanya gets it is if he pulls some shit out his ass.
Yeah, I think Adesanya, he had a good round in round, was it 3, maybe? I feel like was like the closest round.
It looks like he won round 2, and they were neck and neck on round 3.
Yeah, so like the middle rounds were something there where like Izzy would have had to have a very good... Izzy needed to drop him. He needed to do some kind of damage to, I think, sway it in public opinion to be him at all. You know, and in reality is it didn't. So, it wasn't his night. I'm admittedly, I don't think I'm like an Izzy fanboy. I think on here I've been negative about him at times as well. Like I think he can be boring, but I do think that he is a very talented fighter and he's really good for the sport. I don't think that I necessarily want to see him get an immediate rematch. I think he probably fought this too soon, and he fought it this soon because he thought that he was going against a guy who was pretty beatable, and he wanted to fight in front of his home country, you know? He wanted to give back to like where he's from and like continue to grow the sport there, whatever it is. Either way, I think that the middleweight division has seen the same guy on top of it for quite some time now. And Izzy getting away for a few months instead of just fighting Strickland right away, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. You have Paulo Costa against Khamzat Chimaev coming up. That is a great number 1 contenders fight that you could book. And I do think like either one of those could be interesting matchups for Strickland. More so Costa versus Strickland than I think Chimaev would be. But you never know, Chimaev could gas out later in the fight and it could get interesting. And then for Izzy, I have some concerns because I don't really know where you go from here. Like, he went up to 205 to try and get a second belt, and he got, for the most part, beat up and dominated, I would say, by Jan Blachowicz, who isn't the champion any longer. And maybe if you have a striker at that weight, it'll be a little different. But he's cleared out most of 185. And of course you can do the rematch with Strickland, but then if he beats Strickland, what does that do for the UFC? There's really not a lot of challengers left out there. He's cleaned out a majority of the division outside of Hazmat Chimaev. That's the only person he hasn't really cleaned out at this point. You go up to 205, and you've shown that if anybody wants to grapple with you, you're too small there. But you're too big to go down to 170. So I think he's in a really tough spot right now as to, like, where is the most realistic step to go next that gets him either, if you're past the point of making big money, then you start doing, or not big money, but doing championship fights, you graduate to, like, super fights, right? And there's not a person that's clear in my mind that would be super fight ready. Kamaru Usman, for instance, 170, isn't going to come up to 185 and fight Israel. Like, they're brothers. They're both same heritage. Like, they have a deep respect for each other. I don't think that fight would ever happen. So that takes away somebody there. John Jones went up to heavyweight. He's too big now. They had tried to get something going for a while there. I don't see that being something that can happen. I just don't know where the next opening is for Izzy that isn't just rematching Strickland. And then where do you go after that? So I don't know. Don't go to bars and watch fucking fights. It's like that. I've grown so accustomed to watching fights by myself now. And just like watching from a fan level, but also being able to like enjoy the art of it, that when I go to a bar, it's not always a terrible experience, but more often than not, it feels like it's this, that you're surrounded by a lot of people that don't appreciate the art aspect of it as much. They appreciate the brutality of it, and they knew who the stars are. I do think also gambling to that point impacts a lot of stuff, because Sean was a huge underdog, right? Yeah. And I'm sure a lot of people who are gambling in these sports books now put money on him because of the payout aspect of it, and because people want to see an upset, you know? Like, people, once you become the Yankees, essentially, right? Once you become the person who's been at the top for a long time, people start wanting to see you fall. They don't want to see you win any longer necessarily. And it's going to be like, well, if I put $25 on this guy to pay out at 6-1 odds, like, I'm walking out of here $150, $200. You could be putting fucking hundreds of dollars on it. I don't know everybody's bankroll or what they're betting, but I do understand that aspect of it too. That's going to continue to change the way it is at bars for how people respond, and you have to be on the losing side of some of that stuff. But I would just like to be at a bar where I heard more educated conversation going on about it, not just like people like these guys didn't even, and this is such like an inside baseball fucking MMA fan thing, like they didn't understand why Israel Adesanya was wearing red shorts, which had been like a big piece of conversation prior to the fight, because usually the champion wears black and gold for their shorts to depict the fact that they are a champion. But Strickland had made a bunch of comments about him supporting China, so Izzy wore red shorts to basically troll him with the China thing. You know, and it's like, dude, like, it's like a quick Google search if anybody really wanted to know about it. And it's stupid small shit that really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. It was more the yelling and all that stuff. But then when I hear the small talk conversation, and you're like, dude, you don't know anything. Like, you're pretending to be more of a fan than you actually are. And also, I didn't like these people, so I'm just going to say it. The girl who was probably, like, she might have been 35, but you know when somebody's done way too many drugs and they look like they're, like, 50 at this point?
Yep.
Yeah, this was her. So.
Damn.
Oh, but this guy walked up. I have, like, 30 seconds left. This guy walked up and sat down in her seat when she went to the bathroom, and the dude was like, yo, my girl just ran to the bathroom. She's going to be back. So she comes back, and this dude who's like standing behind them now is like, yo, let me see your phone real quick to the girl. Fuck? And I was like, damn, is this dude about to steal this man's girl? Like, I love this. He didn't. It was just like, your phone screen's broken. But it was exciting for like 30 seconds for me.
That's so, all right. Whatever.
It was kind of nice to talk about MMA for a change here, though. It's been a while since I've gotten into any fight topics, I feel like, on here. We're actually going to have our boy Hey Archer, I think, back maybe sometime in October to talk about the return of John Jones coming in early November.
I don't know why I was questioning the way you're going to segue. Like, yeah, we're going to have our boy Dana White on the show next week, so be sure to tune in.
I don't want to talk to that motherfucker. I used to be a huge fan. I'm not anymore. I think he's an asshole.
Is he?
Yeah.
I don't know anything about him.
Yeah, I just, that's a whole topic for another day. Maybe that's something we'll save for when, I know Steve will like shitting on Dana White with me. We like having a good laugh at that. But yeah, we were talking about, me and him were talking about John Jones last week, and we had talked about maybe him coming back for a little fight preview when he comes back at the beginning of November. So maybe that'll be late October. We'll get him on here prior to the fight. But let's move into some of our more normal stuff, maybe some entertainment-based topics, pop culture-esque. Could I ask you a question?
What's up?
Would you ever get an X-Box Mastercard?
So, no, and that's a really annoying thing that's happening lately. It's like every company has their own credit card now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's that, like, for every activation, they get paid out an exorbitant amount of money. Did you see anything about this, though?
No, I didn't know that was a thing.
But basically, yeah, they're going to partner with MasterCard and come out with a credit card that allows them to that allows users to earn points from everyday purchases that they can redeem for games and add-ons to games. I think it's a somewhat smart play.
Coming September 21st, same day as payday.
And Sex Ed Season 4 preview of the next topic. I think I'm not going to get it. I don't use my Xbox really at all.
I don't have an Xbox anymore.
Yeah, I have like an original, like so I always, what's crazy is I work in the industry still, right? But I'm always so confused as to how to explain which Xbox I have. Cause I have like an X, I think, but you know how they have like, I don't have the latest generation of it, like the original next gen ones that they came out with. You know what I'm trying to say?
Oh, okay. So you just have the original Xbox One.
No, because I have the later one. Like mine does 4K movies. It does all of that. I can put, like, I don't have, like, I think the X and the S, it's not the Xbox One, but then they came out with another one, and then they came out with the Xbox One. It's so confusing. This is my problem. I have the black Xbox One.
They're all black.
No, there's the S is one. Is that? Can you look up like console release?
Oh my god.
And try to figure this out for me.
This is where we're at right now?
Dude, I've been struggling with this for a long time when people, like when I tell people I have an Xbox.
Do you have a 360?
I used to. Not anymore. You remember the arcade version?
Oh, I see. Okay, so there's the Xbox One X and then there's the Xbox Series X.
Yes.
So you have the One X.
I have the One X.
Gotcha.
So I have that one. So I never even know when I'm buying games for if I was
confusing that is.
Yes.
The fuck.
This is what I'm. So,
Xbox One, Xbox One X, and Xbox Series X.
You were giving me shit. They all
sound like the same thing.
You were giving me shit, but I can never explain. Try explaining that to like a woman who comes in and she's like, "Hey, I want to buy my kid an Xbox." Like, and I'm like trying to explain to them like, or they're like, "Yeah, my kid has an Xbox." I'm like, "Well, which one do you have? Is it the One X or the Series X?" The fuck.
Most of my best experiences in retail were when you could just joke around with a customer. And when they come in with those questions and like, oh, which one should I get? And you can just be like, how much do you love your kid?
Yeah. Yeah. Get the newest one. Yeah. I just never know. Like, can I even buy, like, when you know how you can buy like the upgraded versions of the games? Like, because I buy digital and it's like, okay, you can buy this version of it or you can buy this version of it. I never know which one I have. Like, I don't know which one I can buy. Neither here nor there, though. I don't use that enough because I figure I have an actual PlayStation 5, so I'm pretty sure it performs better from a graphic standpoint than that one would. And I have a PC, which would perform better to a point because, like...
It performs better, but there's hiccups.
PC gaming's a fraud. Anybody who tells you it's fucking not is a liar. Bold-faced fucking liar. Because, like, the games there's more games and on, like, PC... But like at least with PlayStation 5, you do get like a consistent 120 frames.
Yeah, I was gonna say with console gaming, you get a certain level of reliability.
Yeah, it's like there's more versatility in PC gaming, but there's just like what you've got when you pay for a console. Versus like you pay for a console and it's like $500 and you get 120 hertz and you get this, that, and the other. You pay for a PC and you could pay fucking $2,500 and still be like, I need to replace this or I need to replace that. It's the most annoying shit in the world. That's me off my soapbox. I'm done with that. Long story short, I don't think I'd ever have like a real reason to do that, right? to like need to buy like use a credit card to buy games from them. But I do think there is a value for somebody who's like a big fanboy and like that's their main console that they use to say like, okay, like I can buy gas or groceries or something like that and it's going to get me free games. So like that game I'm looking forward to that comes out next month, like the money I'm spending this month just gets me back the value for stuff off of that or that for free. I think that's a valuable investment.
I just think every company having their own credit card is going to get to a point where it's real dangerous for us as the consumer. I'm going to get to the point where it's like, oh, I needed this to get this deal. I needed that to get that deal. And now all of a sudden I have like 30 different credit cards. And it's like, how do I keep track of this shit?
Well, again, from the retail perspective, though, like, dude, you see people pull out their wallets or you've seen people pull out their wallets or like their elastic band wrapped around all their cards. No,
so women have these wallets that they're like binders.
Yeah.
And they flip through them and they have rows of cards through each like slot. And it's like, you can hold 30 cards in one wallet. That's fucking dangerous.
Or like the dude who has like the 30 cards, but he has a double wrapped elastic band around his credit cards that he keeps in his pocket. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. We used to do the rubber bands around the money. Now they just got a stack of credit cards, rubber band it up.
But can't find his fucking debit card to save his life.
Yeah.
It's one of those like ones where it's like it's I think it's been that way for kind of forever, but yeah, you're right. Like, but it's like what I said. I think that there's so much money for a company in getting paid by these credit card companies to open up more lines of credit for them that to keep them financially solvent, it makes way more sense to have their own.
I just feel like it's definitely gotten more aggressive though, because it used to just be like the department stores that did it. Now it's like, you know, Venmo has their credit card, X-Box is coming out with a credit card. Like there's credit cards everywhere. It's ridiculous.
I'm sure there's a list for this. Like, who is what is like the retailer that has the highest activations of credit cards? Like the highest amount of users. Do you think it's Target?
I would say Macy's.
Still? I think there's a world where it was like that, but I think Target has way more customers now.
I don't even know if that's something I could look up.
Yeah, I don't know how you would like. What would be the like highest credit card activations per year?
I'm looking up retailer with highest credit card activations.
No, I don't like. I'm afraid it's gonna pull up like the best value that you get back on the
exactly.
cards,
That's what all these are. Yeah. The card you should get.
Yeah. Because like I just think Target obviously like they offer direct discounts off of their products and they sell a very large variety of stuff that you could use. That I think that would be valuable for a lot of people. I mean,
makes sense.
I mean,
like that's kind of how I look at my Amazon credit card, though.
Yeah, I have 4 retailer credit cards. I think I have Best Buy, Amazon, Lowe's, and Kohl's.
Okay.
Basically, and it's like I use Kohl's maybe once a year. I'll buy like work shoes or like jeans or something like that. And even now, I used to use it for just like jeans and work shoes, but now I buy most of that on Amazon and don't buy it on Kohl's. So I would use that much more because you get like the 5% back on everything, or they offer like no interest financing on like any level of purchase that you could get from Amazon. I obviously use the Best Buy one a lot because like whether it's stuff for the podcast or just like games or whatever it is. And what was the other one? Lowe's I got when I first like was living on my own. It was like kind of like
stuff for like remodeling the house.
Yeah, well, like when I moved out and it was like I was living with like my friends and it's like, we just moved into a new house that my boy bought and there was going to be things that we needed along the way and you get 5% off, I think, with Lowe's.
Oh, you get percent off.
Yeah, directly off. So it just made more sense. And then when my house became my house and it was like, well, I'm going to be doing a lot of work around here. I need to buy like a new lawnmower, X, Y, and Z. It's like, well, I might as well just get like a Lowe's credit card. That's my, you have your choice of hardware stores. It's like you're either a Home Depot guy or a Lowe's guy. I sided with Lowe's.
I was more of a Home Depot guy.
I think when I was younger, but I think Lowe's kind of took them over,
Lowe's feels classier now.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. A cleaner establishment.
Yeah.
It's the more modern hardware store.
It's also, has this ever bothered you when you go into a retail location and they have like those yellowish halogen like light bulbs?
It doesn't really bother me.
That affects my shopping experience.
Lighting in retail stores in general bothers me.
So like I prefer like cooler, like whiter lighting versus like that yellowish like warm tone. So for that reason, my two closest grocery stores to my house is Shaw's and Stop and Shop.
Mm-hmm.
I refuse to go to Shaw's because they have that nasty yellow lighting that just makes it feel depressing inside.
You think it feels poor?
I don't think it's poor. I think it's just depressing. Like it's not a messy store by any means. Like the Shaw's by my house is actually very well kept, and like they do a good job of like, you know, bulk stacking the shelves and everything like that. But it's just the lighting throws me off. I'm just like, ugh, like I don't like this.
I'm a very much a spot shopper at like Shaw's and Stop and Shop. Like it's got to be like I have like one or two things I want to grab and I'm on the way home or something like that and I'm driving by one. But it's not my like destination. Like I go to Market Basket if I'm destination food shopping. Like my weekly, I'm gonna go to the grocery store. I go to Market Basket for.
Fair enough.
Better prices.
Yeah, I've heard that. That'd be kind of a distance for me. I mean, my closest Market Basket is probably about 15 miles from me.
Yeah, I mean it's still a 20 to 25 minute drive for me for Market Basket.
Versus, you know, Stop and Shop's right around the corner. So I mean, it depends how much shopping I'm getting, but for the most part, it's like that higher price is worth the convenience for me.
I'm pretty sure I've talked about it on here before, but like I don't have a supermarket in my town. There's not like a grocery store here.
Shit, hold on. You did say this before, but like now it's like coming to realization there really is no supermarket in this town.
Yeah, we used to have a Stop and Shop, but it closed like 10, 15 years ago now. And we never got another one. So like I could go to Super Stop and Shop down the street from my house, which is still like it's a 5-minute drive.
Okay.
But the prices are $2 to $3 more on a lot of stuff. So it's just, I'm like, okay, like I could drive. I don't mind the drive either. It's an easy drive to Market Basket, even though it is a 20-minute drive or whatever. It's not a bad drive.
I'll have to fact check this as well, but somebody recently was telling me that grocery shopping at Target is pretty cheap too.
Oh, dude, I told somebody literally told me the other day that like maybe this was one because I was live last Wednesday and Steve hopped on for like 20-30 minutes, whatever it was, and I'm pretty sure he said that he did all of his food shopping now at Target because he is a big toy buyer, and he's like, well, you get rewards back for every. He had told me he bought some toys at Target, and I was like, oh, like is that just because you had like rewards basically?
I love how we come back full circle to the whole credit card deal. Like, he was stacking up them points.
That's what he did. Yeah, he's like, yeah, I do all my food shopping there. I do all this, that, and the other. So then, yeah, it basically pays for his toy habit.
That makes sense in that sense.
Yeah, well, but that's what I was saying before with the Xbox thing, right? Like, if that is something you care about and that is something you consistently pay money for, you're going to see value in getting those points back to be like, I got Madden 24 for free this month because I used my Xbox card when I got gas 4 times this month.
It's just crazy because like in that same situation, right? It's like, now how do I decide if I have like an Xbox card, I have an Amazon card, I have a Target card, and I'm at the gas station, I'm like, damn, which one do I want points for?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a decision. Like, that's why people use their Amex cards or whatever gets them miles, right? Like, it's the thing that they use the most or the thing that they're going to get the most out of.
Yeah.
All right. We've Xbox card.
I don't know how we. Yeah. Wow.
Um.
And then there was a whole tangent about grocery stores.
Yeah. So I've been hyping up season 4 of Sex Education coming out on Netflix at the end of this month, September 21st. The trailer just dropped today for that season. It is the final season of the show, and I just wanted to get your thoughts as a person who's only seen one episode of this show. Do you think, really quick, we should ever release the one episode that we recorded of a podcast that's just about sex ed?
I forgot we recorded a podcast.
It was probably like the second podcast that we ever recorded.
No, I think it was the first.
Yeah, with me and you, and when that Matt was still there at the time.
Because I think we tested that before we went to Beyond the Banks.
Yeah, and that's not dead, by the way. I think I've been thinking about how to re-release because we did stop after like 3 episodes of Beyond the Banks, releasing them. And to be honest, we have 7 more episodes, I think, that we recorded.
Yeah.
We even re-recorded one. So those will see the light of day, especially because I think it'd be fun for people to see Matt back on the channel. And knowing that I have some stuff in the tank still that is involving Matt, and arguably one of the funniest like episodes we ever did of a show, I think, is in the unreleased podcast that we did of Beyond the Banks.
I think I know the episode.
Yes,
you're
I
talking
think
about.
it's episode 6. It's like one of the funniest things we've ever done. It's like 10 minutes of just us killing ourselves. But even that sex education episode, I think, is legitimately funny. And I think I might maybe I re-release that with the week of the show coming out.
I'd be curious to see that sex education episode just because that was my first time trying to get comfortable on camera.
Yeah. I think maybe we got a couple weeks. Maybe we rewatch that and see if it's worth putting out, because maybe sometimes you remember things more fondly than what they actually ended up being. But that show is the show's very funny. And so what did you think of the trailer for season 4? Does it pique your interest to get back into it? I think you liked it on the first episode that you did watch. I
did like the first episode, and like seeing that trailer, my immediate thought was like, fuck, now I gotta catch up on 3 seasons.
Yeah, but it's like they're
but like that's not a bad thing, right? Like
yeah.
That means like I think I am genuinely intrigued by that trailer.
They and like they aren't long episodes either. Like I think they're, can you look up like a runtime of an episode for me? I feel like they're like 40 minutes or so maybe, but they're also not long seasons. It's only like 10 episode seasons at most. I think that show's a really easy watch. But in like this trailer was a hoot, I thought. Slowest person ever.
Yo, shut the fuck up, all right? God.
Just click on fucking IMDb.
Dude,
can we?
While
you do this, so go to episodes, you fucker.
Why are you getting so aggressive, bro?
Because you're so stupid. Oh
god, 49 minutes.
All right, there we go.
You know how stressful it is to try to speed Google?
You don't. If this is speed, dude.
Well, that's
you
the
know
problem.
How stressful it is to slow Google.
No. That's the problem, though. You try to rush so fast that you're not efficient.
All right. Do you think if I
Slow and
actually
steady wins the race.
invest in the Elgato like stream deck, that we'll be able to have people see your Googling, so they really understand how frustrating it is for me to watch?
Honestly, if we could do that, I could do a lot more with like scenes through OBS and stuff.
Streamlabs, yeah. Because to like flip over and like just switch the scene so they can see how poor you are at this, because it's insane. Yeah. Okay. So anything stand out for the like? Was there any moments in the trailer that you thought were like good, interesting, whatever?
I thought it was an interesting premise that there's another sex therapist on the campus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were about to say so.
No, you go. Do you had something else to add?
Not really, just because I don't have a lot of context to compare it to. You know what I mean?
It is tough seeing a trailer for a fourth season into a show that you haven't really watched.
That I've only seen the first episode. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I love Otis and Maeve. I'm excited to see, like they spent 3 seasons building up to it, and now they seem like they're kind of apart again. So I'll be interested to see where that's kind of going and how they're gonna, because I think she's a large part of the reason why the show is coming to an end. She felt like it was time for her to move on, and I think at a time they were discussing continuing the show without her, but I don't know that I would be able to maintain interest without like them being in it together. I also interested to see how much she's in the show, since she's clearly somewhere else. So I think you're going to get a lot of episodes without her in it, kind of building up to them being back together at some point in the season. But I thought the strongest part of the trailer was the first 15 seconds of the trailer, like her sending a picture of her titties and him trying to send back a dick pic. Like, I think is like so on brand for that show.
Dude, the V's.
Yeah. And the full body shot, like in the chair. It's man. Like, I won't lie to anybody, like that show will make you feel uncomfortable at times, but it's that like Office, like the Office uncomfortable, where it's like kind of cringy, funny, uncomfortable. Like, oh, is this really happening right now? Like, this is so awkward. Get me out of here. You know? So, yeah, I'm excited for that. I'm happy about that. We watched were there any of the other trailers that we watched that were at all interested in? Killer
Oh, Totally Killer.
Totally Killer. Like, it looks fine. It's an Amazon movie. It's
For straight to streaming, I think I probably will watch it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely gonna watch it. It's a slasher horror movie that's like a riff on Back to the Future, so that interests me. Like, what is the name of Baby Killer, the Babysitter? Can you look? It's a
Babysitter, maybe?
Netflix movie. If like anybody wants to watch like kind of a similar horror movie comedy that's really good.
Just give me a description of it, and I could probably.
I just type in babysitter. I think that's legitimately what it is. Just put like babysitter Netflix. Yeah, the babysitter.
Okay.
There's 2 movies from that. They're on Netflix. Those are really good. They came out a few years back. Kind of like along the same lines where like now with horror slashers especially, they merge a lot more comedy into them to make them work. I think
even then though, like even in the older like slashers, they still were comedic. They just never were trying to be.
Yeah, I was telling you this, and you know this was going to be in my what I've been watching. I'm in like a Friday the 13th kind of mode right now because we're gearing up for the Halloween season, and there's definitely later in the series. There's one in particular that I'm about to watch. That like I've been watching a YouTube channel that's been giving a lot of like what happened, and it's like about all these different horror movies that have come out, and they give a lot of good information about them. And they were saying that one of the major things was Jason Goes to Hell comes out, and it doesn't perform as well as a lot of them had, but it did well enough that because the budgets were so low that it makes a ton of money. And then the next one comes out after that. I can't remember. Can you get me the name of the next Jason? Jason Lives, maybe?
Is it not Jason X?
No, Jason X is the one after this. Because basically, like they tried to go away from Jason being the killer in Friday the 13th. And I want to save some of this because we're gonna do some horror episodes, so I don't want to give away all my knowledge here.
You said Jason Goes to Hell, right?
Yeah. What's the next one?
Jason X.
What's the one before Jason Goes to Hell?
Jason Takes Manhattan.
Before that,
New Blood.
no, none of this is ringing a bell because I watched Jason Goes to Hell like this week, and it's not the one I'm referencing. Neither here nor there. Doesn't really matter because we're gonna do more of an anthology-based episode at some point. But the big thing they were talking about is that they brought in a new director that wasn't in the slasher genre, and instead of going the direction of trying to make it uber scary, he did lean more into the fact that like a little bit more comic heavy. While still having like good kills in it and everything. It ended up being the least successful Jason movie of all time. But it's considered by critics to be like one of the best. But they were coming off of like 2 week entries that people didn't love. They also went up against, I think, the week that The Exorcist came out, and like a bunch of other shit was coming out all around it, so it just didn't do good at the box office. But yeah, it's Friday the 13th and in Nightmare on Elm Street definitely leaned more, and Scream for that matter, all leaned more into the comedy realm of things. I don't think that Halloween ever really leaned into comedy with their movies so much. I think they stayed more straight and narrow, like where just a slasher movie.
It's fair.
But yeah, this movie looks good. It's the girl who played Sabrina. She was actually on our list of like young actresses that we looked at.
Melissa Joan Hart?
No, not that Sabrina. In No Salem in this one.
Whack.
It's something Carpenter. Sabrina Carpenter. You want to look up that name, Sabrina Carpenter?
Yo, I don't like how aggressively you gave me that search term.
No, that's the girl who's the hot girl who sings all those songs now.
All those songs.
I see her on my TikTok a lot. Yeah, her.
Wish it would give me her name.
Maybe just click on one of her pictures.
Oh, I hate this. Why am I so bad at this?
I'm gonna
you
get
see
a timer.
Now I'm rushing.
I'm gonna get a timer, dude.
Nah, fuck you. Kiernan Shipka.
Oh, okay.
No.
Yeah,
Is that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think you're right. Yeah. Maybe I said the other girl's name because her name's Sabrina Carpenter, and I just was like, yeah, it's that girl from Sabrina. Her name must be Sabrina. But yeah, that girl, she's good. We talked about that a couple weeks ago. That I actually liked the Netflix version of Sabrina. I thought it was pretty good. At least the first season. I never watched after that.
I only watched the first season as well.
It was damn good though, wasn't it?
It was interesting. Yeah, I liked it.
And you know what? It had that Netflix issue where they take way too long in between seasons. and it makes you lose complete interest in ever going back to it.
Well, I think that's the benefit that we lose from week by week TV.
Yeah.
Is when they release it all at once and we binge it, now there's a year in between us watching it, versus if they did it week by week, we're a lot closer to that next release.
Well, it was also, I think you're right to a point, but I also think traditionally when we were younger, there was a way that seasons worked on TV that you knew from September till April, you were getting a season, and then you knew that you had to go from April through the summer without getting it, but you knew when the next season would be there. Whereas now, there's no defined time when you're going to get a new season.
Yeah.
So it could, sometimes new seasons of a show could be 6 months later. Sometimes it can take a year and a half, or sometimes you're Stranger Things and we wait 4 years in between every season of the fucking show, you know? Same thing with like Game of Thrones, I think suffered through that too, right? Like where like, I think Game of Thrones came out pretty consistently for a while, and then everybody got pissed because after Jon Snow died, spoiler alert, my bad guys.
Wow.
Fuck.
Wow. You know, some people still haven't seen it.
Yeah, shit. Piss out my ass. That's a Cartman line, guys.
Okay.
How long, what's the longest gap in between seasons?
The only gap that was more than a year was 7 to 8, where it was 2 years.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking. Is like before, because maybe that's what it was. There was such a long gap, and then everybody hates the last season.
Okay.
But I'm always historically like, I love the last. I don't love it, but like the last season's fine because like I never watched the first 7 seasons, and I binged them in like a week and a half before the 8th season came out, and I just got to watch the 8th season like you know,
in continuum.
Yeah, you know, like I didn't have this long gap of 2 years to then have this major letdown over a 10-year span of my life that everybody else went through.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to need you to lead this next topic a little bit.
Uh-oh.
Since you watched the keynote from what it sounds like, and I did not. I've just read stuff online. They've announced the new iPhone.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
Apple does this thing where you watch their keynotes and you get really inspired and you're like, fuck, I want to buy that. But then I think back on it and I'm like, what's new about this phone? Absolutely nothing.
Well, dude, they've got everybody real gassed up because they have a USB-C port.
So here's all the new things, right? USB-C, titanium frame now instead of stainless steel, and now your mute switch is a programmable action button.
So I think that, I think that is an interesting one.
They also, like, you could tell they didn't have much to talk about because they went into this whole bit about how the back glass is now all one piece and they use this crazy technology to color it. And I was just like, why do I need to know that?
Yeah. Yeah, like, or here's our 48 megapixel camera, and like I'll just still stand by the fact that like Samsung puts 100 megapixel in. I don't think that matters just as much as I don't think 48 megapixels matters.
Well, yeah, that was also like the only other thing they changed with the camera on the Pro series this year was the telephoto lens now goes from 3 times to 5 times zoom.
Yeah.
But because of the lens technology, it supposedly gives a better optical zoom, and it can go up to, what was it, like 35 times zoom or something like that.
What is the thing with like the island tray or something like that?
What, the dynamic island?
Yeah, dynamic island. Like, what is that all about?
So that's something they released last year with the 14s, where now the notch is kind of like a live piece that moves and transforms depending on like contextually what's on your screen.
I think that's cool, but like, why are people acting like that's like what's different about this year's iteration of it in the new iOS? Because I saw somebody like be like,
I think there's more integration. I think they're allowing like dev kits to now kind of peek into those, so they give you a little bit more features as far as like you can. I think they showed a thing where like now it can sync with your flight information. So like if you have a flight coming up, you can tap on it and it'll actually widen up and tell you like what gate you're boarding at, you know, what your boarding time is, if there's delays. So like a lot of that stuff seems really cool. Like basically it's giving me contextual information without me having to search for it.
Because I do like that when I have a timer going on my phone, that it just shows the timer up there. Or I like that like if my battery's dying, like it'll pop up and show me like when it goes down to red, it'll show you like the actual like where it's at red, and it'll give you a better idea of your percentages since they don't actually put numbers in the battery life any longer.
I still have a 12, so I have no experience with the island at all.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. Like like you can just tap up there for your, like if you're watching YouTube in the background or something, and you tap on that and it just automatically brings you back into your YouTube video. I do like some of the integration. I don't think any of it's revolutionary, but I guess the more that they integrate it in, the cooler it is.
But this keynote seemed to be more about like how they enhanced the software experience than what changed hardware wise.
So what here's one thing I saw with the software. They're going to have a technology in there now that you can pinpoint down to the exact location where somebody is if you're trying to find them.
Yeah, so basically the same technology they had with the AirTags when they released them, where you can kind of get that like compass that directs you to the AirTag. You can now do that with like, Find My Friends or Find My Phone, and get that same pinpoint accuracy for all your Apple devices.
Yeah, because they're just pinging off of the other Apple devices that are around them.
But it had something to do with this new like U2 chip that they put in it or something. I don't know.
Okay. Any other software advances that they made?
Trying to think, because I want to say there was something with the Apple Watch that they added, but I forget now.
The one thing that I saw when I was scrolling through, like shortly after they announced the phone, is that Assassin's Creed Mirage, Resident Evil Village, and Resident Evil 4 will all be getting playable versions on the iPhone 15s, 15 Pro and Pro Maxes.
That's pretty cool, because they were talking about a lot about like the graphical ability of the iPhone and mobile gaming.
Yeah, but the problem I have with it, dude, is like I go back to when like the iPhone 4 or 5 was released, and they were like, this is the phone that's going to revolutionize gaming, mobile gaming on your cell phone. And I've still, yet to this day, found a game that isn't like a strategy game or like a board game, like
the most intensive game. Like,
you know what I mean? Like they say that stuff, but like, have you ever tried playing like an NBA 2K or something, like a game like that, like a more like console based game on your phone?
The thing that always kills it for me with those kind of games on the phone is I can't do the on-screen controls.
Yeah, I mean, and now you have so much more integration. I'm surprised Apple hasn't come out with their own controller. The same, because you have like the Sony
thing,
the Sony and Xbox backbones that you can buy.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that Apple hasn't gotten into that world and just come out with their own game controller.
That'd be interesting.
That
one feature I was talking about with the Apple Watch, by the way, is the double tap thing. I don't know if you saw that.
No, what is that?
It's now where like it's basically allowing you more one-handed usability of your Apple Watch. So like if you glance and you see you're getting a phone call, but say you have one handful, you can now double tap your index finger and thumb together to like contextually respond to that.
Okay, so that'll like answer the call for you.
Yeah, which I thought that was pretty cool. But of course, you have to have the new watch to do that.
I mean, it's just another one of those things, though. Like back to your point, where like. That's cool, but again, people are going to rush out to buy these things, and those features don't fucking matter.
I mean, it's just Apple does such a good job in those keynotes where like, damn, I kind of want that feature, but am I about to drop $400 on a new watch just for that one feature?
I think that like you'll appreciate a 15 or 15 Pro because you haven't upgraded since the 12, right?
Yeah, but to that same respect, right? Like my Apple Watch is a Series 5. Now they're on Series 9, and I still don't see a reason to upgrade.
I mean, I haven't bought one since literally the Apple Watch. It didn't even have a series. It's like the Xbox issue I had. When I try to tell people which Apple Watch I have, and I'm like, yeah, no, I just have the Apple Watch.
Yeah, it's like the first one. They're like, oh, the Series 1. And you're like, no, the one before that.
No, like before they knew they were going to have more series. Like I have that one. I also saw that it's going to have some integration, like, and then this was obviously going to happen because they announced the VR, but it's going to have better integration, with the VR stuff that they're going to come out with.
Which I think that stuff's supposed to launch next year. And honestly, like that stuff looks all pretty cool. It's just as of right now, like the projected pricing for it is really fucking high.
The price point is outrageous.
I think they said like $3,500 or something at release.
I think there's like two different options. Like one's like 25 and one's 35 or something like that. Yeah.
I'll wait for version 2.
Yeah, and like when it first came out and got announced, it was another one of those things where it's like, why is it that much money? Like, what is it like? And I think it's because they're trying to make it more all encompassing. They're saying this isn't just for gaming. Like, you won't just use this for gaming. It'll be...
Yeah, they're trying to make it more of, like, a productivity thing, like replacing your computer kind of thing.
Yeah, like, I don't know if I buy that, but I could, they'll sell them. There's definitely going to be motherfuckers who buy them, Maybe not your everyday consumer is going to buy them initially, but you're definitely going to have tech people that are like interested in that who are all over it when it comes out. So they'll make money.
I just also don't think like the first run of it is going to be worth it. I'm really curious to see what the second run would look like though.
You know what else bums me out with the Apple stuff? I do like, did you see all the colors for this phone?
So I missed the colors on the Pro models.
I saw pink. I think they had
For
a pink
Pro?
I think so.
No.
I think I
wonder
saw
if Apple's posted it on their site by this point.
I saw a video of somebody walking by all the phones, and I thought they were all Pros that I was looking at, and I was
know
like,
they did a pink for the regular 15.
And I was like, because why can't you have all the different colors for both phones?
The only thing I can think of is like because they're using different materials, the way it'll show up will be different. Also, I think they just want to use that as a way to differentiate the regular from the Pro.
Yeah, so you're like
now if I see you with a pink iPhone, I'm like, broke.
Yeah, like cool color, dude.
Yeah,
phone has one less camera lens, bitch.
Couldn't afford the one that was just black.
You know how many people it fucks up the little parlor trick that people like me and you have, where like I like if I need to know what kind of phone somebody has, I just tell them to show me their camera lenses.
Oh yeah,
that fucks people up all their time. They're like, "Well, dude, what are you, Rain Man?" I'm like, "Well, no, I've just stared at phones for fucking 7 years now, and I know the difference."
Oh, I hate these colors.
Okay, what do we got? Hit me.
We have black titanium, natural titanium, blue titanium, and white titanium.
Okay, so we're just running back iPhone 12 colors.
Yeah, I really hate that natural titanium has to be a color because it's
why would you just call it titanium? Yeah.
Yeah, like, oh, God, wow, love Apple.
Blue is still going to be the color everybody buys.
Yeah, I hate that they didn't do another purple run because that was the one reason I hated for missing getting the 14.
Yeah, the purple's nice. That's what I have.
And they got rid of a white regular 15. So the regular 15 is now just black, green, yellow, pink, and blue.
You know, that gets crazy that they don't have a red one, but that just makes you assume that they're going to do like a middle of the line release of like an extra.
Gonna say, they'll probably do like 5-6 months in, our sales are suffering, and bam, product red.
We're going to hit a product red for the regular ones, and we'll hit like a promo color green. They'll go back to green for the Pro models.
Nah, give me a call back on the purple.
Titanium green.
Let me get purple titanium. Oh, let me get burnt titanium.
I was gonna say purple steel.
No, have you ever seen like burnt titanium where like when it's heated and it has like that like blue to gold tinge to it?
Was that a color in Need for Speed Underground?
Maybe.
It feels like it would have been.
I'm trying to get an image here so you can get an idea.
Like yeah, I think I knew what you were looking at. Yeah, that's in Need for Speed Underground, dude. Of course.
Sure.
You didn't know that? All right, anything else we missed on the Apple stuff? Any announcements of like new Apple TV, anything like that?
No, this was strictly iPhone, Apple Watch, and then AirPods Pro 2 are now USB-C instead of Lightning.
But they didn't improve anything with the actual product itself.
For the AirPods Pro 2, no change at all. So then, fuck them.
I love my Pro 2s, mind you. Like, legitimately love them.
Unfortunately, they don't stay in my ear very well.
But you, the regular ones do?
Yeah.
That's so weird to me.
So I think it's more because I have small ears, and the way the Pros are, where they have like the rubber tip and then the big bulb behind it, I think it like almost pulls itself out of my ear. It's weird. Versus like where I don't have that like rubber tip to fight against, it gets to sit in my ear a little better.
You describe it like a dick with a condom on. Like just like everybody run back this description of putting AirPods in his ear. You know, the small little tip and then it's a little thicker. I'll let you run it back. I won't retread it, but that's funny.
No, it's not happening.
All right, so nothing else on the Apple release. Let us know out there if you're going to be interested in it. Are you going to be one of the folks getting it? I'm on the fence. Can I tell you what I've been upset about with my 14 Pro Max?
What?
Because as you know this, I don't know if the people out there know it. I didn't want to buy a 14 Pro Max. I had a 12 Pro Max that was in perfect working condition. And then one day, I woke up and it just didn't turn on.
And then in one day, it wasn't in perfect.
Yeah, no, like there was nothing that happened the night before. I was like watching like YouTube videos or whatever, porn maybe, like the night before, like I always do. and all of a sudden, I wake up the next morning to go to work and my phone's just a brick. No reason. The only thing I can think that happened is it tried software updating and bricked overnight. And I haven't been able to get it on since. So I had to upgrade out of nowhere, didn't want to, and now I have this 14 Pro Max, and I love the phone, but the thing I hate, it gets hotter than any other cell phone I've ever owned.
So that's actually the big issue, and the main reason I'm looking to upgrade is, one, my 12, since the iOS 16 update, has had horrendous battery life, and in the past, I want to say like 3 or 4 months, I've never had my phone shut off from overheating, and it's happened to me so many times over the last 3 or 4 months.
Yeah, I mean, that if there wasn't a reason to get rid of it now, like that is it. Like, there's nothing worse than picking up your phone and it's like uncomfortably warm on the back of it. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
Well, I like, it makes sense, right? Like, oh, I'm watching a video but it's like I've been watching videos on my phone since the iPhone 4, dude.
But like I still remember the first time it happened to me. Like I was in my car, my phone was plugged in, charging, and I'm on the phone. And mid phone call, all of a sudden, I just noticed my CarPlay stops. You know, a person's not answering me, and I'm like, what the fuck's going on? I look at my phone, and I see the little temperature thermometer logo, and it's like, your phone's overheating, cooling down. I'm like, what the fuck? I was like, this was like at night, like there was no direct sun on it. There's no reason for it to get that hot, but somehow it felt like I could cook an egg off of the thing.
I don't get it. Maybe you should try that, though. That could be a fun YouTube video for us. Dante cooks an egg on the back of his iPhone 12 Pro Max.
Let me get my 15 first, and then we'll do that. Yeah.
Then we got that. We're gonna be eating fucking sunny side up, baby.
Yeah, I got you. Over easy, sure.
Yeah, we're on it. All right, let's get out of here. What have you been watching? So you saw a movie yesterday, and you're still watching Jersey Shore.
Yeah, still watching Jersey Shore. I'm actually almost done. I think I only have like 5 or 6 episodes left.
Is that disappointing for you?
No, because actually this is going to be the end of the family vacation. Then I get to go back and watch the OG.
Okay,
I never watched the OG, so
you are gonna go back and watch the OG.
I might not be as into it. I don't think I will be, but I'm gonna give it a shot.
I think for me, I would have wanted to watch it in sequential order if I was gonna do it. So I would have wanted to watch the original and then get into family vacation. I think it'd be hard for me to go back in time and watch some of the stuff. You know?
I agree with that. I mean, like they're different characters now, and I mean, I think part of the reason it's been so appealing to me is because like they're in our age group, right? So it's like a lot of that stuff. I don't want to say relatable because like I don't have millions of dollars, but you know what I mean. Like
you just feel more in tune with like who they are.
Yeah, exactly.
At this point in their life.
Versus, I feel like the original, would have been better if I watched it in my like high school years where I was closer to their age group then. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And the movie.
Yesterday I caught Equalizer 3.
So I read this on Twitter yesterday. Somebody put a thing up that was like, if you ever wanted to see Denzel Washington as Mike Myers in Halloween, Equalizer 3 would be a perfect movie for you. And it was the most intriguing promo for a movie that I've ever seen. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I'm sold. They should have led with that.
Oh god. Yeah, I know exactly where they're pulling that from, and that's definitely like the fight scene towards the end of the movie, where very Mike Myers-esque.
All right, so that sold me on the idea of seeing this movie. Good, bad, middle, like where we at?
I think it's pretty mid. I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's anything great. Like, oh my god, you have to go see this. This is the greatest movie of the year. But overall, I enjoyed it. It was one of those movies that I think was sub 2 hours, so it didn't feel like it jammed too much.
An hour and 58 minutes, I think.
Okay, sounds about right.
Yeah.
So it didn't feel like over aggressive. Why can't I find words?
You never can. You're not a linguist. Too many dicks in your mouth.
It doesn't feel like it's like overly done, is what I was trying to get at.
You've seen the other two Equalizers?
I have.
Rank them?
I don't remember them.
I don't care. Rank them.
1, 3, 2.
Wow. Okay. You didn't like the scene where he's in the car in the second one? Like he's doing like the donuts, I think, with somebody in the car he's trying to kill.
I don't remember that scene.
I think it's at the very beginning.
Mm.
I don't really remember it that well either. The first one's really good though.
Yeah, no, I mean this movie was probably something that you might hate about it is it starts with action. It's a whole lot of drama and dialogue and ends with action. You don't get a ton of action out of it.
In the middle. There's not a lot in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you got to space it out a little bit better, but he's like 60, dude, so I
get it, and like they kind of were playing to the fact that he's like older in the movies, so it makes sense that there wasn't a ton of action.
Yeah.
They explained it well, and that's why I say I don't hate it, but it's just like I went to see an action movie and it was the action was on the ends, but dead in the middle.
I've been trying to figure out seeing that and seeing The Nun 2. I've been trying to figure out a time to go see both of those, but like it just really hasn't worked out for me. And they're not either movie that like has me like stoked to see it to where like I'm just gonna power through and find a time. You know what I mean? If it works out, it works out. If it doesn't, I'll see them when they're on streaming somewhere.
Last week you also got me wanting to find out who Aaron Carter was.
Oh, okay. So you checked that out.
I did check that out. I actually finished it.
Really? Okay. I never finished it. I'm still at the point I was before. How'd you like it?
It was intriguing. I liked it. I mean, I think it was a fine, like little, short 7-episode Netflix series kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
All I can say is I enjoyed it. I mean, I don't think it was anything crazy, but like
the fight sequences were good. Through most of it, I thought. I think I'm 4 episodes in, and I just haven't gotten around to finishing it.
I think the story is solid. I think the fight sequences were enjoyable. And I mean, we just came off of talking about how I enjoy, shows or movies with a female lead, especially when it's an action movie.
Yeah, she kills it.
Yeah,
it's really good. Can you really quickly, while I talk about what I've been watching, can you just pull up movies that are coming out on VOD? Over the next few weeks? I do think we have some of the big summer movies. Speaking of which, I haven't watched it yet, but Little Mermaid I think did 18 million watches in the first week it came out on Disney Plus.
Seriously?
Yeah, crazy. Crazy that people didn't want to see that shit in the movie theater, but they'll hop on it real quick when it got to streaming. And it makes sense, obviously. Like, people pay for those streaming services, get what you can out of them, but it just wasn't a wildly successful movie, and now it's doing huge numbers. But so for me, Daryl Dixon came out this week, episode 1. I watched it this morning, actually, and yeah, it's great, man. It's a different feel from The Walking Dead, being that it's in a completely different country. It's interesting to see some of the dynamics there. I haven't got a huge feel for what's going on exactly yet, but they referenced one of the new zombie types is called the burner. I had talked about that last week, where if it touches you, it burns your skin. Also, in the trailer for what's coming up in the season, they show you that there's some that can sprint in Europe right now as well. So it seems like they're going to be upping the intensity of that a bit more. Daryl looks like he's going to be a little bit more of a leader in the realm of a group of people over there, while he's still making his effort to get back to the United States. They're going to be explaining how he gets there. Basically, all he says in the first episode about how he gets to Paris is that he left the Commonwealth, ran into some bad people, and it led him to Paris, basically. And then I think episode 2 that's going to be coming out on Sunday, they are going to be showing the fall of Paris. So they're going to be showing pre-zombie outbreak and what had happened there. So that'll be interesting as well. There was some controversy, though, because originally, people like myself who signed up for the AMC service, one of the selling points was that you were going to be getting the first episode early. So you were going to be getting the first episode on the Thursday, as opposed to Sunday. But then there was this whole controversy, and basically AMC pulled back on that idea and is now releasing it on Sunday for everybody. And that's across all of their platforms, whether it be AMC Plus or if you're watching on actual AMC itself. So a lot of people were upset about that. I saw a lot of people go into AMC customer service being like, what's up with you, misleading us to sign up for your service and then not giving us early access. When I was telling you to look up VOD, I was more interested in new release stuff that was in the movie theaters that's going to be coming out on streaming.
Gotcha. Sorry.
Because I saw Mission Impossible, I think, is coming out early October. There's a movie that I wanted to see that we didn't see in the theaters that is coming out on like HBO Max or something like that, or Paramount, in the next couple weeks, I believe, as well. Maybe it was Barbie. No, but I saw Barbie.
Coming to streaming this week is saying Barbie, Elemental, Talk to Me. Wait, Talk to Me.
Oh, Talk to Me is going to be on Netflix.
Already?
Yeah, that's what it is. End of this month, it's going to be on Netflix.
Jesus Christ. That's insane. Didn't that just come out in theaters?
Early August.
Okay, it's already been that long.
Yeah, so there just seems like there's a lot of the big stuff in the summer is going to start to become available for you to either buy, rent, or some streaming services will be carrying stuff. I'll be interested to see. I assume Talk to Me. Wait, not Talk to Me. Maybe I'm thinking of, what's the one with Jennifer Lawrence? No Hard Feelings.
No Hard Feelings.
No Hard Feelings is going to Netflix. I don't know where Talk to Me is going to, but No Hard Feelings is going to Netflix at the end of the month. And I just wonder, I have to imagine that's going to be number one on Netflix very quickly, like once it's out. Because that'll be another one that people didn't maybe go see in the movie theater, but I think they'll be very curious about it when it gets there.
Gotcha.
Other than that, I'm back on the challenge. I'm watching the final season that's available on Paramount Plus. I'm almost done with that. And then I'm going to move on to some of the special episode ones that they do, like the Challenge All-Stars, and they're doing one that's like USA versus the world. And then they have a new season coming out on October 25th that they just put out a trailer for, or like a little preview teaser for. Otherwise, the last thing, this week you get the trailer for Aquaman 2. Comes out on Thursday. So
Okay.
we'll talk about that next week. I think that's all I got. Do you have anything else?
My well is dry.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is what we call making chicken salad out of chicken shit. Another episode where we have basically no topics because the movie theater is on strike. Well, entertainment TV is on strike, unless you're Drew Barrymore. Check that out there. See if you get the reference. Do you want to comment on the Danny Masterson thing before we get out of here? Just one last chance.
Bro, like, he deserves to be locked up. What the hell you want me to say?
Cool. You ran back your take. That's fine. You can find us anywhere that audio podcasts are provided to you. Podcasts are provided to you. You can see us on YouTube every week right here on the For Those With Good Taste channel. I am still streaming 1 to 2 times a week, so please drop by on that. Give us a follow, subscribe, all that stuff if you could. Check us out on Instagram at For Those With Good Taste, on Twitter at Good Taste Live, on TikTok at Good Taste Pod, and the DWE himself. Where can they find you?
I am Dirty Water ENT on YouTube, Dirty Water _ENT on Twitch and Instagram.
Until next week, ladies, gentlemen, we out. Bang, bang. Kiss me through the phone.
Baby, you know that I miss you. I wanna get with you, but I can't right now, so baby, kiss me through the phone. Did we skip a part?
Maybe. Call me when you get home.
For those with good taste.